Hey, good morning guys. My name is Joey and I'm here to do the newest review of One Piece chapter 827. So the opening page takes us to Kamabanka featuring Yonko. I thought she would already be with the revolutionaries at this point, and so it kind of begs the question, why is she over at Kamabanka when she's supposed to be with the revolutionaries? The title of it is also Preparations, so we're wondering, does this take place before the revolutionary army is attacked? Or is it that they're preparing the place for the welcoming of the Revolutionary Army, which was just defeated by Blackbeard? So the chapter already has a very quick pace. From the very first page, it begins with that they have already entered the Whole Cake Island, as Peckham's was able to just basically say, hey, you see this boat behind me? I kidnapped it and I have this crew and I want to give it as a gift to Big Mom. And it was simple as that. Kind of made it seem like Oceans 11 through 13 was a little pointless, because they could have just said something along the lines of, hey, we captured the bad guy, we're bringing them over here. They used a Trojan horse, and also it gets rid of the boringness that you would have to create a whole chapter just to get into the island. So Oda is very much on a quick pace. He needs to get these chapters done to progress through the story. As with all new islands, the One Piece crew has changed into new outfits. Some are more provocative than others, as is the case with Nami and her Swedish outfit. And what's really interesting is that Oda had stated previously, if Nami were from a country within this world, she would be Swedish. And then we also get a quick snippet of Brook being the perverted, sexist pig that he is, trying to look up Nami's skirt, and then of course getting the crap beat out of him. I really wouldn't feel bad if Carrot had replaced Brook, and then we could just kind of get rid of Brook, but in some ways it's funny. But when Brook's constantly doing this, you do have to wonder if there is any point for Brook being on the team. Something that's really interesting, at the beginning of the introduction to the new island, we are told that there is no discrimination, no prejudice, and no racism in this nation. And so that's kind of telling us that this place is a utopia, but as with many works of literature, utopias have a knack from going from utopia to dystopia. We're able to see the true power of a Yonko. This is the first time that Luffy and crew have stepped onto a domain of the Yonko, their island. And what's really unique about it is that, unlike the other islands that they've been to, this is gonna be the first enemy that has control of multiple islands. In a way, she is the government. She's on par with the world government, and that's why the world government fears these Yonkos so much. Big Mom currently controls 34 islands. That's far more than any other villain in the One Piece history. Don Flamingo, our baddest villain so far, only controlled one kingdom. And watch out, fellow Americans, for what I'm about to say may deter some of you guys, but One Piece has become socialistic. Peckham states that Big Mom's crew builds the houses for each of the islands that they're controlled of. Peckham states that Big Mom has elected a chancellor to each of the islands, and each chancellor is involved of constructing the buildings and the houses for the citizens. One rule is that you are not allowed to eat the roofs of the houses. You can basically eat almost the entire house, just not the roof, because the roof is what needs to is the most difficult part to build. And so you can eat the wall and you'll be perfectly fine, but if you eat that roof, you're gonna be really fucked up. Peckhams then realizes that Chopper and Luffy are gone, and in my head I'm already thinking, oh crap, you're new to this group, so you have no idea what's about to happen. And as soon as Peckhams asks, hey, where's Luffy and the guys? Nami's like, oh, you will find them. They're not gonna be that hard to notice. They'll be causing trouble. You immediately hear, it's a crime! Someone just ate a cafe! You go to the bottom of the page and you see Chopper and Luffy almost equally big and unable to move. And their explanation for why they had to eat the entire cafe was because it was just so damn delicious. The owner then pops up and she is saying like, why didn't you guys eat the entire cafe? And what was a little bit confusing was that I thought her name was Nitro the Jello, which didn't make sense because there was this thing of Jello that was on top of her arm. I didn't realize that this was pudding. She looks completely different than what we saw in the previous sketch of her, and she seems a lot more funny and a lot more interesting as a character, because based on the picture we saw of her in the last few chapters, she did not look that interesting. She looked like a Victorian style girl with problems that only the wealthy would have. Pudding actually seems compatible to Sanji because she loves to make chocolate. Sanji's a cook. They could probably help each other around within the kitchen, and they would also be able to feed their son, Luffy. She asks for introductions, and Luffy says, "Hi, I'm Luffy. I'm gonna be king of the Ooh." Nami then says, "Hey Luffy, shut up!" Of course, that Pudding has already realized, like, huh? We then go to the actual Whole Cake Island, and we find out, and we see Mom for the first time. And she is scary as hell. She reminds me of one of those old women from those scary movies like The Conjuring or Insidious, at least like through the wrinkles of it all. It's here where we begin to see that Whole Cake Island is not the utopia that it was introduced to at the beginning of the chapter, and that it is in truth a dystopia. You see Big Mom's crew killing people for fruit, for eggs, and for flowers. And that just shows how cruel she is, because earlier in Fishman Island, she was wanting to destroy an entire island just for missing one ship payment of chocolate, which we have to remember that payment of chocolate is actually filled with bombs. I wouldn't be surprised if Mom decides to bring them out during the wedding. Everything in her surrounding view is alive. Everything has a face, everything's talking, and there's a son that reminds me from that stupid ass baby from Teletubbies. The worst news is that Big Mom knows that Luffy's here, and she's ready to meet him. I thought this was a great chapter. Oda's really impressive with the way he was able to draw in socialism into a new island. I know that Japan is not a socialistic empire. In fact, something interesting about Japan is that even though they allow transgender identity change, you have to be sterilized first if you want to become the opposite sex. I really enjoyed this week's chapter. I thought there was a lot of information, a lot of little details that isn't needed, but just creates more realism to the story of One Piece, and I'm really excited for next week's chapter. So please like the video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Thank you very much for listening. Talk to you guys later. Bye.